fastness, and Tim Omlu goes over a tenth of a second fast.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to Formula Trout League Challenger Split. This is round 7. We are here at the Spa circuit in Belgium. Currently on pole is Darian Shiklovan. 8 minutes left in quali. He's done a 1:43.982 so far. I'm Alex Cochran, joined by Christoph Börzer. Hello, Christoph.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Alex.
Hello, thank you. So yeah, currently setting the fastest time so far is Darian Shiklovan. He is the championship leader at the moment, and yeah, 43.982 to beat for the rest of cars on track. Only 7 cars have set a time so far, 2 of them being around 5, almost 10 seconds, well, more than 10 seconds off the pace actually for one of them, so clearly not set a fast lap yet, but I'm sure the times will come down as the track rubs in. And Spa, you know, very difficult track, very long lap here as well. I think it's a 20-minute quali session we have, as Darian runs wide through No Name, or Jackie X as it's now called, into Pujon. Yeah, it's a very, very long circuit. 7 kilometers and 4 meters, I think you said, Christoph, before the stream?
Yes, I believe 7004.
Yeah, so very, very, very precise. I'm sure that that differs depending on who you ask, but quite a long lap. Darian just rounds onto the back straight through this flat out section here. Well, I say it's a straight, it's not really a straight. Just about to come into Blanchemont, which is a very, very fast flat out kink. It's definitely not a straight, but it basically is for a Formula 1 car, or these Formula 1 inspired cars, the VRC Formula Alphas. And yes, as always, Darian loses the rear through the bus stop there and actually decides to come into the pits. I think that was a push lap, but yeah, just lost it at the end there. Yeah, we're currently using the new 2022 variant of Spa, which has been modified by a fantastic creator on Race Department, which has added taken away some of the runoff, added some runoff, changed some of the walls, changed the profile. Well, not the profile, but the runoff at Eau Rouge, which is, you know, very noticeable. And the same at No Name. There's an extra left turn at No Name now. These Formula 1 cars don't do it, but the I think MotoGP uses that layout now, or is planned to use that layout at least, yeah. And it's a very, very different corner. We're not using that here, but you know, you'll see it as we ride on board with Alan Woodward as he's starting his lap, currently 3rd fastest. He's not starting his lap, it's an in-lap, my apologies. But Andy Moreno, he is starting a lap, or at least he's starting an out lap, so we'll ride on board with him as he goes around into turn 1. So you can notice here on the outside, loads of runoff, but it's now gravel. There's runoff here where there didn't used to be, and it's also grass, so a bit more punishing than it used to be. Up Eau Rouge, cresting the hill, wider on the left and on the right a little bit, and then this, you know, mostly unchanged as he goes down the straight. DRS open, hitting about 330 kilometers an hour in these VRC Formula Alpha cars. Braking for the cone, right then left. So these few corners unchanged, you know, they don't look too different. In fact, I don't think there's any changes at all in terms of the runoff. But here, as you come to No Name, you'll see on the left here there's some cones and a slightly different corner, which, as I said, we're not doing here. But on the outside as well, gravel. Used to be AstroTurf and concrete there, where you could really push the limit, but now there's gravel there. Just you know, you can't push the limits as much. You can try push the limits, but if you go too far, you're in the gravel, not just AstroTurf. Same on the exit here, actually. The gravel is closer than it used to be, and especially here, this one's very noticeable, because here in Formula Trout you run curb is track. Curb is still track, but if you're on the curb there's going to be gravel to greet your outside wheels, which will make it much harder well, will probably ruin your lap, to be honest. So, quite different. Very different dynamic. Makes the track more punishing, but in a good way. As Marino comes into the bus stop, he was on a push lap. We'll see what his lap time is. 1:46.421 to beat for his time, and he does beat that with a 46.027. So that is P3 for Moreno, getting in front of Woodward. But up at the front, Chikloven is still in P1. 3 minutes 30 seconds approximately is remaining in the session. He comes into the hairpin. Downhill, falls away from you. Easy to understeer wide here, but also easy to oversteer into the inside wall if you get it wrong. But nice and clean through there. Nice and clean through No Name. Coming down the hill to Pujon. Not quite flat in these VRC cars, but might be with the right setup if you were running a bit more aero, but you might you'd probably lose out on the rest of the straights. Into another one of these high-speed chicanes, right, left, and the double right onto the back straight. Keep it clean through here. He might not be on a push lap. I don't know, 1 second off his delta apparently, but I think he might have backed out of this one because he wasn't really pushing the limits. Yeah, maybe. Good point. I've noticed the ERS usage in my preparations for the Master Split race. The ERS usage around here is quite low. You can do 2 laps just about. The problem is less the deployment, the recharging. It's more the deployment you get over the 1 lap, which is where you lose. Yeah, it was an in-lap for Chikloven. So he will have 1 more lap to go. 1 minute 50 approximately for the out lap. 2 minutes 20 remaining, so he's going to have to get out reasonably quick. But here's Kamishov. What can he do? 44.412, so slightly beats his time. Not enough to get that pole position, which Chikloven is still there.
I'm afraid because there are so few cars that the track just won't rubber in, and people might not get the track to the point where they can trust the car enough to push more. So I think the track is just really green right now. That's why some people struggle with lap times that are clearly slower than what they practice with.
Yeah, we've noticed that before at some circuits, like especially the longer ones. When there's not many cars on track, not many people doing laps, the track just doesn't rubber in the same as it does at other tracks. You know, the shorter tracks like Hungary, that rubbered in very fast because it's quite a short lap. But here at Spa, as you say, a very long lap. It takes a long time to go around. Estoian sets 45.681, goes 3rd fastest. But yeah, getting the laps in the dying stage of the session might really pay off here. Ooh, there's a car spun at Pujon. I don't know who that was. Looks like it's one of the... I think it was Knowles. Spun off at Pujon. Yeah.
Yep. Diamondback cars.
Yeah, managed to just get in the gravel and then he's returned to the pits, which means his session is over, but I doubt he would have been able to get around to start another lap. But his Kamishov, he's on an in-lap actually, yeah, so he's not pushing at all. We'll follow Chikloven, who is on his out lap currently, about to start his final flying lap. I'm sure Moreno, Woodward, Knowles and Imran Sheikh all in the pits. We should have more cars on track. There was 12 cars registered for the session, I believe. Unfortunately, only 7 have set a time so far.
There were like 16 registered, 4 of them set out in the last minute, so I'm counting 12, and yeah, now we're only 7. It's a bit sad to see, but happy for the people who attend that they can race.
Yeah, definitely, and guaranteed points for the ones that race. That might be important for some of the drivers here in the championship. You know, only 7 cars, but still 10 are awarded points. You finish P7, last on the road, but you're still going to get a decent points haul, which might really help you in the championship if you're slightly further down, if you've missed a few rounds, for example. But we'll follow Darian Chikloven, who looks to have almost certainly claimed pole position. Stoyan is the only one left out on track, and I don't believe he's on a hot lap. So Chikloven has pole position, I'm going to say already, and he's already up on his current split 2/10, so he might be... Yeah, so Stoyan in the pits. Chikloven is on pole for Spa, and is he going to beat his time even further? We'll ride on board with him as he goes through No Name, pushing right to the limit. You can see someone's pushed a bit over the limit. Tyre marks in the gravel through there into Pujon. Yeah, downshift and a lift, but then flat back on the throttle, 100% through the exit, braking as late as he can for this right-hander. Don't want to drift too left, you'll ruin your run for the left-hander. just about gets away with it, almost in the gravel there. Right on the limit here as well. Easy flat through here, and flat now down to the bus stop. Use as much of the battery as you can. Try not to run out, because that final little boost out the bus stop can gain you a tenth, 2/10 maybe. Flat through Blanchemont into the braking zone for the bus stop. 100 meters hard on the brakes, into the right. Don't lose the rear, into the left. Get on the power as early as possible, but don't spin the walls. He does lose the rear. I was going to say, don't lose the rear. He does, but that's still a 43.7, so he's still improved his lap time, even with that mistake at the bus stop. So a great lap for Schikloven there. Could have been more for sure, but yeah, to set pole position, even then, made a little mistake. Doesn't really matter. So
I'm curious, can you
7/10.
quickly check the grip that is currently on track, Alex? You may do so in the pits.
97%. Yeah. So Christoph,
Wow.
you made a very good point there. No, the track is not up to the right level of grip. 97% is much lower than the people would have been practicing with. Obviously, the slower amount of cars means the grip doesn't raise as much. But I'll run us through our top 7 as it is. Our top 10 it includes me for some reason in the streaming car, in the safety car. But yeah, so Darian Schikloven, pole position, 43.7. Dmitry Kamishov, P2 with a 44.4. And Stoyan, P3 with a 45.681. 2 seconds to poleman Schikloven, so huge lead for Schikloven there. Moreno P4, Woodward P5, Knowles P6, Imran Sheikh in P7, and me in the safety car as apparently in P8.
Well, I guess you're online, that is more than the others are.
Yeah, unfortunately we have Leslie Peters, Ivan, James Kay, Penn and Carter Jackson all registered, but unfortunately they are not on the grid. Quite unusual. That will be a penalty point for them, actually. I believe our rules dictate. Unfortunate to see, because we never want to see, losing cars before the before the race has even started. I mean, if anyone wants to get involved, you can join our Discord in the link below in the description. You can maybe show up to the Challenger race, with challenge for the win, challenge for points, quite easily done. Or if you've got the pace, you could challenge in the Master Split for the big championship, the Master Split Championship that is shortly after this Challenger Split race. But for now, we will focus on the Challenger Split race that we are about to unfold in front of us. 20 seconds to lights out here at Spa. Schikloven on the inside for La Source for turn 1. Kamishov on the outside. We've seen Schikloven not get the best race starts this season so far, so we'll see how it goes this time round. Lights start coming on. 3, 4, 5, 6 red lights here at Spa. And away they go. Schikloven with a pretty good start. Covers the inside. Moves right over to the outside to just get the best line he can. Looks to be mostly clean through there as we are watching me. So coming into Eau Rouge, the field almost starting to spread out, but Schikloven right on his gearboxes. Kamishov, we've seen so many times, it's impossible to keep the lead almost down this long start-finish straight. Stoyan looks to the inside, 3 wide into Lacombe. Stoyan keeps the lead, so great job there for Stoyan. Kamishov maintains P2. Schikloven keeps the lead, I should say. Stoyan in P3 still. So no change, even though there were 3 wide. Real impressive stuff from Schikloven there. I thought I was going to see him back out, lose to, maybe 2nd or 3rd. Fantastic job, but Kamishov is still right behind him. Stoyan lost out a little bit. Moreno caught back up to him. Into Pujon they go. Moreno has a has cars behind him. It's Imran Sheikh runs wide. Trying to follow through. Pujon proves very difficult, even with these Formula Alpha cars with the less dirty air. It's still difficult to follow through there. Schikloven, as he comes into the back straight, 1 second lead on Kamishov already almost. So real impressive stuff. That defense, I don't even know if to call it a defense, just his commitment, the late break and shutting the door on Stoyan on the inside into Lacombe was really, really impressive. Great stuff from Schikloven. Kamishov, I'm sure, will be pushing equally as hard to try and get up into that first position.
Long race ahead for the 7 guys. Long race.
Yeah, 29 laps here, 7 kilometers, hitting our 200 kilometers that we run here at Formula Trout. Is it 200 kilometers?
Yeah.
Yes,
it
200
is.
kilometers. It was 175, then it was 225. Oh, that's Knowles, spins out the sauce, keeps it in a straight line. But yeah, as you say, long race, 200 kilometers to go, and lap 2 of 29 here. Obviously, on lap 2, there will be no DRS. Lap 3 is when the DRS is enabled. Go ahead, Christoph, what were you going to say?
Nothing, I'm just, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, Shiklovan has a 1.2 second lead. DRS is enabled lap 3. That means he's already out of the DRS. Kamishov will not get the DRS if he keeps up the current pace. Marino is the closest car on track on lap 2 already. Just 7 tenths behind Stoyan. Stoyan had a really good start, actually. Like I said, he was alongside both Kamishov and Shiklovan on the inside of down the Kemmel Straight, but then yeah, just couldn't get the move done, and then I think he just lost out through that right-hander, dropped back into the clutches of Marino, into Shake, into Woodward, and yeah, Kamishov and Shiklovan have just started to pull away. But look at that, 1.7 seconds Shiklovan pulled onto that final straight there, so Kamishov, maybe a little mistake, just dropped 5 or so tenths on Shiklovan. He's going to really need to push if he wants that DRS, wants to be able to make that overtake.
I'm wondering if they're running different wing setups, because Kamishov lost so much in the middle sector, but he gained back like 3 tenths on the final sector, so it might just be on a low drag setup. I mean, obviously in the long run, it doesn't help him if he just loses time to Shiklovan. If he can't keep up with him, sorry. He can't stay in the DRS. Which I think is the case, but he's
yellow
nearly
flags
down
for him
to
and
second
Shake.
again.
Spin for Shake at La Source, that is. Didn't quite see what happened, but the yellow flags were out and he was round there. Yeah, Shiklovan, as you say, with the different aero settings, a track like this, huge long straights, low aero, technical middle sector, well, reasonably high speed, but you know, technical middle sector where you need that aero, so it is a bit of a balancing act. You can see Kamishov just 1.3 seconds there, so yeah, he must be running the lower aero. He catches on those straights, but then in this middle sector, Shiklovan just pulls away, and then maybe out that last turn onto the back straight, the double right-hander, maybe that extra aero just allows him to get a better slingshot through there, and although, you know, Kamishov's catching, it's not enough to get within the DRS, it's not enough to keep up throughout the race.
Yeah, so Kamishov lost 3 tenths in the first sector, but he gained 3 tenths in the first sector, but he lost 4 tenths in the middle sector, so let's see what he can gain back on the last sector.
Marino right behind Stoyan here. I wonder if he made a mistake onto the back straight there. Just 6 tenths separating the two, and this time around DRS will be enabled. Moreno goes a little deep as Kamishov sets fastest lap that time round. So DRS open for Moreno, around the same lap times for Stoyan and Moreno that time. So as they we're about to climb the hill up Ers Rouge, going to down the hill after La Source to climb the hill up Ers Rouge, and then they'll have the long DRS zone. But 8 tenths to Stoyan, I doubt he's going to be able to make an overtake. Ooh, as Moreno runs a lot of curve over Ers Rouge. It's quite risky to do that in these cars, very sensitive because of the massive amounts of underfloor downforce they make. Yeah, 8 tenths at the start of the straight, 8 tenths at the end of the straight, so even with the DRS, not able to close in. But up at the front, Kamishov was just 1 second behind Shiklovan there, so I wonder if Shiklovan made that mistake, or as you said, Christoph, that low aero is starting to help Kamishov just close that gap, and he will be in the DRS in a lap or so if the gap falls at the same rate as it just did. Now, a thing we haven't mentioned at all, tyre strategy. Every car here is on the C3, apart from... Oh, sorry, I thought I saw Kamishov disappear off the road there. I think he might have made a little mistake then. Yeah, it's 1.5 seconds. I think he just ran a little wide. Yeah, every car is on the C3, apart from Woodward, I believe it was, who is on the C2 tyre. So the timing screen is all over the place. I'm expecting to see a one-stop, as usual,
Yes.
it seems, but you never know. It is a long lap, so it can be easy just to catch you out. You know, the cliff of the tyres can be quite sudden here. If it just catches you out through Pujon or something, you might have to make an extra unscheduled pit stop due to damage or something, or if, you know, you're just not confident pushing the car. But that was a faster lap for Kamishov that time around again. Fastest lap of the race, obviously only lap 5, so it's going to fall a lot down, but he was closed a 10th on Shklovin that lap. So we'll follow these two down this straight, 1.4, as they climb the hill of Radion Eau Rouge. Come down the straight. We'll see. We won't have the DRS obviously, but we'll see how the gap is here. So 1.2, so 1.1 actually, yeah, so definitely different aero philosophies for these two drivers. Younger GP versus Griffin Gaming, in a way, they're sister teams, they're B teams here in the Challenger split, with a different philosophy of car setup, as Shklovin has a big lockup into the hairpin. Doesn't lose too much there, but doesn't want to lose anything, to be honest, in this middle sector, because this is where he really needs to pull the gap on Kamishov. Because let me tell you, trying to race a car with lower aero is incredibly frustrating, because as soon as you get on the straight, they will just pass you, and you cannot keep them behind you, basically. And then yeah, in the middle sector you can be behind them, but somewhere here like Spa, you just can't overtake in this middle sector. And even if you do, they'll just go straight back past you again. So it's really important for Shklovin to maintain that gap through that middle sector, lose as little time as possible, because once Kamishov's passed, Shklovin's going to have a much harder time passing than Kamishov would have passing Shklovin.
I think Imran went off again at Braun, but he's a bit out of back of the field. He's P7, he gets points, but he's still the back, unfortunately.
Shklovin sets fastest lap that time around to 46.756. It swaps around. Kamishov a 10th slower that time. Shklovin a 10th faster, obviously, and that means, yeah, Shklovin's current pace, current strategy is working out, just keeping Kamishov outside of arm's reach, outside of the DRS. But yeah, Imran Sheikh is 10 seconds off Knowles back there, so he must have had some problem, some issue, and yeah, unfortunately that's put him further back. But as you say, P7, that's still good points, so it's definitely worth him finishing the end of the race. Completing 80% distance is, I think, what you need to do to get the maximum points available. Yeah, 2:01 was the lap time for Imran that time, so he must have made a mistake on that previous lap, because that is well off the pace, unfortunately.
Another thing at Spa to pay attention to is Ers Management, because you are allowed to basically use 33 seconds of full electric power on every lap. But the cars can only recover so much, so after a certain time you start to notice that you can't use all your electric energy, so you have to make a decision where to use it and where not to use it, and whoever does better maybe gets a little bit extra speed, extra time out of the lap.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, because in addition to maybe the aero philosophy is different, maybe Kamishov is just dumping all that battery down the straight, as Shklovin sets a 46.2. Real, wow, that's 5/10 faster than his previous lap, 5/10 faster than Kamishov as well, so Shklovin really starting to push. And maybe, yeah, as you said, the ERS, maybe he's just started deploying that battery a bit more. Maybe Kamishov earlier was deploying it in those straights, trying to close the gap in the straights, wasn't really able to, and now Shklovin's thought, right, my turn, I'll start using my battery up, and yeah, that was 5/10 faster that time around, so real impressive lap time, and Kamishov's really going to have to react to that, because 5/10 in one lap is huge. Both drivers obviously pushing to their limit. Kamishov really trying to get that gap down, but Darian just maintaining it at 2 seconds as they get into the middle sector, and this is where Shiklovan was pulling away. I imagine he will still be pulling away, unless, yeah, maybe it is the battery. maybe Shiklovan just wasn't using his battery, and it's Kamishov is using it somewhere different. Maybe they are running the same aero. It's hard to tell, because Kamishov's actually keeping up through here now. 2 seconds as they get on the back straight. That was roughly about the same as when they entered the middle sector. But these two drivers class the field right now. Is that the right word? Maybe. It's 11 seconds in front of Stoyan, which is crazy. It's only been 7 laps. That's over a second a lap. 1.5 seconds a lap, near enough. Really, really fast pace for both these drivers here. 46.4 for Shiklovan, 46.5 for Kamishov. So Kamishov's reacting to Shiklovan, but it's not enough. Still pulling away is the younger GP driver. Stoyan actually has picked up the pace a little bit. He's started setting fastest laps of his own, 47.3, but not enough to be catching these two. These two are really flying right now.
With the C3s probably starting to drop off soon, when do you think we'll see the first pit stops, Alex?
Yeah, so that's another thing. Very, very, very good point. The C3s here, it's high degradation track because of all these high speed corners. It's a long lap, and it's only lap 8 of 29, but that's, nearly a third distance. And we've seen most rounds this season, maybe it's a 40 lap race, around lap 15 or so is when you pit, so not quite a third, well, yeah, almost a third distance there as well. So these tyres will be starting to drop off now, I imagine. Kamishov actually 1.7 seconds through that middle sector, so closed a little bit of the gap down there. And yeah, the tyres, pit stops are going to be a major thing here, but you don't want to pit too early. It's that's always the thing. You get the pit stops wrong, and that last stint is awful. The Shiklovan's bouncing all over the place there. Yeah, Porpoising's really bad for Shiklovan there, much worse than it looked in previous laps. I wonder if maybe the balance of the cars changes. It's a huge lockup for Kamishov, runs deep into the bus stop there. Yeah, I wonder if he's struggling with those tyres. He started pushing to close that gap back down, 46.7 for Kamishov, 47.1, so a slow lap for Shiklovan. And yeah, if they pit too early on those C2s though, as I have found out in the Master Split races a few times this season, it's awful. It's hell. Ooh, Shiklovan was miles offline up at Rouge there, almost cut the track. The porpoising is really bad for Shiklovan now. Boing, boing, boing. Yeah, that's terrible. I wonder if as the weights come down in the car, as the fuel loads come down, the ride height will change, the tyres wear, the ride height will change there, the pressures as well, with the temperature of the tyre. And there, that just does not look pleasant. In fact, 1.2 seconds for Kamishov, he's really started to catch, and he didn't seem to be bouncing at all. Most teams seem to have solved that problem this season, but the younger GP junior car not seemingly solved that all the way and was struggling up at Rouge.
I'm wondering why I would start porpoise. I mean, I to be honest didn't pay attention if he was porpoising until now, but when a car gets lighter I would expect it to stop porpoising in contrast to starting to porpoise.
Yeah, true. I mean, as you say, the aero rises, well, the weight lowers, so the car will sit slightly higher, but then again the tyres are wearing, which does affect the ride height as well. A worn set of tyres is noticeably smaller than a brand new set of tyres, simply because of the tread wearing away, or the surface of the tyre wearing away. You don't have tread on cars like this, but yeah, Shiklovan goes deep there, and Kamishov is just 0.8 seconds behind now.
We could see a change of lead on the next straight. Maybe,
yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with Shiklovan struggling with that bouncing up at Rouge, down the Camel Straight, that could allow Kamishov just to sneak past 1.1 seconds out of the source though, so didn't have the best exit there, but you only need a lift for Shiklovan, and look, he's lost 0.2 through Rouge, so he's clearly having trouble, and Kamishov behind stable as anything. Into the cone, nice and easy for both drivers. And yeah, I wonder if both of them are just nursing the tyres now. Maybe this will be decided with strategy, will be decided with an undercut. Or an overcut, you never know. Just as I was saying before, you pit on those C2s too early, and the end of the race is very, very difficult. At Mugello is the big standout for me. I pitted on the C2s quite early due to an initial mishap I had, a spin. And yeah, those last few laps, the car was terrible. Through the fast corners of Mugello, which are kind of similar to a lot of fast corners here, the rear would just let go in the middle of, you know, a 200 kilometers an hour corner. Yeah, corner, high speed one, and that's just scary. You know, you can correct it, but you just have no confidence then. You lift into the corners, you back off into the corners. It just proves really, really difficult to keep the car on track, keep the car fast. And I think I was losing around 3 seconds a lap trying to do that. But Kamishov lost around 3-4 tenths in that middle sector. So Shiklovan not lost any of his speed in that middle sector, but down the straights, he's just, I know that it seemed to be almost equilibrium down those straights, but it's around the same now. 3 tenths faster for Shiklovan that time around. But we'll keep following this pair. There was yellow flags out for Stoyan, and he has dropped 21 seconds behind Kamishov there, so I wonder if he made, well, he obviously did make a mistake of some sort. Seems to have got going again okay. He maintains P3 for now, as he actually enters the pits. So Stoyan, our first driver to pit here at Spa.
I'll keep an eye on his tires as we watch Darien enter the middle sector.
Yeah, so 8 tenths now in that. Oh, as Kamishov's gone off. Kamishov's gone off through the fast right-hander, lost the rear on the exit off the chicane, I think, into the gravel. Did not hit the wall, but that is not what Kamishov would have wanted. We've seen it at a few races this season already. Kamishov just in critical moments runs wide, makes a bit of an error, puts him in the gravel, and he can keep going okay, you know, no damage, but that's 7 seconds that he's just lost to Shiklovan. And that is 7 seconds he's going to really have to try and get back, unless Shiklovan makes a mistake himself. That might put Kamishov out of the contention for race win. We're only a third of the way through, but 8 seconds is a very, very large gap to have. Yeah, the Griffin Red driver here just struggling. I don't know what happened as such. As I said, he seemed to just lose the rear, and it's put him into the gravel. He was just, I was just saying he's within a second of Shiklovan, and yeah, maybe bitter commentator's curse, but yeah, it's sad to see, because I think we were on for a good race for the lead there. I imagine Kamishov might choose to pit this time around, actually reacting to Stoyan as well. Oh no, he does stay out actually.
Stoyan switched on to C2s, but he had a moment in the middle sector on the exit of No Name, so he's going again, but he has made contact with a wall.
Oh.
I wonder if the tires are still cold, if the C2s are not as good as expected.
Ooh, as he runs wide there into the gravel. Yeah, so Stoyan maybe carrying a bit of damage after you said he maybe hit the wall due to cold tyres, or just a mistake, you know, but I was going to say Kamishov, Shiklovan, they'll be watching Stoyan, seeing what the pace is like, but after that mistake, it's ooh, as he loses the rear into the bus stop as well. Yeah, so Stoyan not having a great time here. Very experienced driver, you know, doesn't make many stupid mistakes like that, and yeah, he's struggling, obviously. Shiklovan now out in front then, 8-second gap to P2. I'm sure he'll be feeling quite a lot more confident than he was just a lap or so ago. Gives him more flexibility with the tyres, more flexibility with the pace. He can, you know, Kamishov pits, he doesn't need to react, he can stay out for another lap and see what the lap times are like. No pressure at all for him, unless, you know, he makes a mistake, which I say Kamishov we've seen before, but we've seen it before from Shiklovan as well, a few races this season, you know, just little errors, and you can lose 5-6 seconds instantly, you know, just run deep at the bus stop here and lock the rears or so, and yeah, you could lose that time that he has gained. But yeah, Shiklovan coming into the pits now, so he pitting before Kamishov. I imagine Kamishov's going to follow him in. We will follow yep. So Kamishov into the pits as well, reacting to Shiklovan. maybe a faster pit stop he's hoping he can get away with, but gonna have to bring that gap down on track. So yeah, 26-second gap to the next car, so I feel like Chikloven's gonna come out in front. Yeah, definitely gonna come out in front of Moreno, who is currently running P3 as Chikloven exits the pit lane. Kamishov also exits the pit lane. Nice and tidy, and yeah, 7 seconds. So he did actually close a little bit there. Did close around a second in that pit stop, but obviously that's not enough. He needs to close 7 more of those seconds to get in front. So Moreno pits in P4. Will he come out in front of Stoyan? I am very, very interested to see. Here comes Stoyan into La Source. Moreno still in the pit lane. Yeah, so Stoyan into P4. Woodward, who's yet to pit, is in P3.
Imran also pitted like 2 laps ago.
So Imran in our Formula Trout car, which has returned. I think it returned last round. I'm glad to see it here again. Can't get enough of the fish car. That is reserved for our solo drivers, and if we have any issues with deliveries, obviously they get assigned to the Trout car, and it's a very nice car. And yeah, glad to see it back, but unfortunately, as you say, Imran Shea currently running last on circuit, P7, still good points, but yeah, 25 seconds to the next closest car, and he did pit a few laps ago, so not having the best job so far. Kamishov, meanwhile, 6.3 seconds to Chikloven, so he actually closed 7 tenths, 9 tenths. The time's going back and forth a little bit, but I wonder, as you said, what happened to Stoyan, where he's struggling in that middle sector with the tyre temperatures. Maybe Chikloven fell for the same mistake. No, you can't say it's setup or anything. Stoyan is part of the Oxygen family, Chikloven part of the Younger GP family, and Kamishov part of the Griffin GGDR, that's the one. The Griffin and DAC Racing family, and Filipino now. Yes, and friends. So all different cars, all different setups, you know, no communication between these drivers, and yeah, maybe all having different problems. But 5.5 seconds for Kamishov, look, so he's really closing that gap.
As unique feature of Assetto Corsa, your entire battery will recharge when you pit. So maybe he got that second wind in the ERS system.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe it'll not pay off for him in the long term, but if that, you know, him using all that battery up in the early stages of his stint might just force Chikloven into a mistake. He's going to be watching that gap come down and thinking, oh, how can Kamishov go so fast? What can I do to react to this? And if he just gets in his head, he might make a mistake, and that'll put Kamishov right back into the race. Yeah, you definitely see Kamishov's pushing though, right on the limit through these corners, right to the edge of the track, which is where you want to be, but it's quite risky to do. You can make mistakes doing that. Obviously, put you in the gravel very, very easily. And 5.3 seconds to Chikloven.
As Kamishov sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:46.184, compared to Darian's last laps, 1:47.3, so nearly 0.8 seconds taken out of that lead. Again, we're down to 4.7 seconds, 4.5 seconds. This might not be over yet. Stoyan pits again. Maybe he made another mistake and has damage, or he just doesn't like the C2 tire at all and decides it's worth it to finish on the C3. As Will knows, it's actually on the C4 tire while we're watching the rear wing of Darian. And off in the distance, Kamishov chasing him. Yes, so Stoyan back on C3 tire, interestingly. But then again, Stoyan has a lot of gap in front. 20 seconds in front, 10 seconds behind. There's not really much to gain or lose, unfortunately. But with an extra pit stop, you can't really make up much ground. Yes, Alex?
He for sure might be able to go for fastest lap though, you know. 13 laps to go. Shikloven just starts the 16th lap. If these guys are just going round, you know, at their pace, maintaining their lap times in their own race, Stoyan could have the chance to go for fastest lap with a fresh set of tyres. Maybe he loses out. Well, wouldn't make much sense if he loses out positions, but you know, there's always the chance of it.
Again, Kamishov half a second faster than Darian, whereas he's still losing like 0.2 seconds in the middle sector, so everything else he makes up in the first and last sector. So we're back to, does he run lower wing again?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because that gap is just coming down and down and down. 4 seconds now, well, 3.8 seconds now. As I say that, it switches back up to 4 seconds. Thank you. But yeah, these two definitely both pushing, and Kamishov seems the faster car. Now, I wasn't able to see lap 1. I didn't see anything happen, but I wonder if Kamishov maybe picked up a bit of damage lap 1. Like, did he hit his front wing or hit his rear wing? Just change the balance of the car, make him less confident to push. It's not something I can tell you, unfortunately, but the pace difference seems to be larger than it was in that first stint, that's for sure.
I mean, we have seen it in the past that some setups like softer tires want, some setups like harder tires more.
Ooh, big lockup for Shikloven into the bus stop there.
Or he had a big lockup early on which prevented him from hard braking. Which I think we have seen some lockups from Kamishov during the first stint. Again, nearly matching times. I'm sorry, not matching times. 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second.
That lockup seemed to catch Shikloven a lot, so what I was saying before, Kamishov maybe pushing to try put the pressure on Shikloven. Looks like it's paying off. Shikloven with that big lockup, that's going to have overheated the tyres, giving him a bit of a flat spot, and it's definitely not going to be improving his lap times, that's for sure, as the car's bouncing down the straight yet again. Meanwhile, Kamishov, perfectly stable. Very, very, you know, smooth ride for him in the Griffin car.
The first sector for Kamishov. Fastest of them all.
And he's not within DRS, he's not, you know, he's not getting a slipstream off Shikloven here. That's just pure pace from the from his car, or from the driver, I should say. They're all in equal cars after all, so you know, don't can't be blaming the car, can't be giving props to the car here. It's completely the driver's skill behind the wheel, and Kamishov seems to be 2.5 seconds now. It seems to be ahead of Shikloven here in terms of pace in this second stint at least. Still a long way to go though, 12 laps, it's only just over half distance, so these guys pushing these tyres like this, pushing these C2 tyres, they might really, you know, it might not pay off for them in the end of the race. They might have a bit of an accident with the tyres wearing. Little lockup for Shikloven again, you can see the puff of smoke ahead. See what the lap times are like this time around. 47.3 for Shikloven, 46.3 for Kamishov. He's catching a second a lap.
Crazy, considering how they were equal in the first stint.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see this at all. I mean, I would be saying Shikloven must have some kind of issue, because this time difference is huge. Looking at the split in quali, the split in the first stint of the race, I wouldn't have expected to see this at all.
Looking at the times, he's not only losing in the middle sector, but he's also right now slower in the middle sector than he was on his first stint, where he had much more fuel.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, the tires are harder,
unusual,
but usually you don't pit before the tires are done.
No,
which
definitely not.
Surprises me.
Well, he had the split as well. You know, he had around a 7-8 second gap to Kamishov behind, so he had the the gap to be able to make that decision later than Kamishov would have had to. You know, Kamishov was having to make that decision himself. Imran Sheikh's lost the rear and he retires from the race actually. So very surprising to see. Imran Sheikh retires from the race. Made a mistake just where Shikloven's passing now. See the gravel there. Yeah, it's a shame to see.
Damaged the engine. Assetto Corsa is a bit odd when it comes to that. You can have quite big crashes and nothing happens, and then sometimes you just have a tap and the engine is just dead. So maybe that happened to Imran. Because if you are running 7th, you still get what, 4 points?
Yeah, definitely would be worth finishing.
Maybe even 6 points. Yeah, I think 6 points. So you just gotta make it to the 80%, which we aren't yet.
6/10 that time around. Shikloven with an improved lap time there. He did a 46.6 that time. But Kamishov, fastest lap, 46 flat.
He really wants this win. He knows he can. Or maybe Shikloven is just managing and letting him get close again and upping his pace when he's closer, so that he has a slight tire advantage. Or he's just porpoising like hell. I don't know.
Woodward in P3 enters the pit lane, so I think Moreno is going to come out in front of him here. We'll just ride on board with Moreno as he comes down the start-finish straight into La Sauce. Where is Woodward?
In the pits.
In the pits still, yeah. So Woodward's stationary for a very long time. I wonder if he has damage. But yeah, Moreno into P3, Woodward into P4. Up in front, 1.6 seconds separates these two drivers right now. 1.4. I'm quite puzzled by this. The pace difference between these two is not what I would have expected at the start of the race at all. And Kamishov, as you say, must really want this win because he's really pushing hard now.
Darren picked up the pace, but so does Dimitri. Dimitri set the first fastest purple sector 1. Darren set purple sector 2, and Dimitri set a personal best in sector 2, so both of them are at it again. Let's see the lap times in the last sector. 46.3 versus 45.9.
Difference. The Kamishov keep putting in these fastest laps. Shikloven trying to push as hard as he can, just not enough. Still 4 tenths faster for Kamishov. If he keeps that pace up, he'll be within DRS this lap, or the end of this lap.
So we might see an attack next lap or the lap after.
You can see Kamishov closing down that straight, 0.9 as they get into this middle sector. Kamishov's going to try to keep up as much as he can through this middle sector, see where he is at the end of it to close that gap back down, and will want to be within DRS at the end of the race. Ooh, a bit of oversteer there through the hairpin, running the curve through No Name, but doesn't lose time at all. In fact, gains time on Shikloven in front, 0.8 now. I completely take back the comments I was saying earlier. I was basically saying that, oh, the race is over, Shikloven's won, but here we are. Yeah. 0.7 seconds between these two. 9 laps remaining. It looks like it's going to be a fair fight for the win. Both on the same tyre. Both pitted on the same lap, actually. So driver versus driver. Exactly the same car. Exactly the same tyres. Dimitri is within 0.8 seconds down this back straight. Will surely have the DRS as Shikloven runs wide through Blanchemont there. So Kamishov will have the DRS as they come down these, well, as they enter the start-finish straight. The DRS will open on the rear of Kamishov's car. Now this straight probably not long enough to be able to make an overtake. But yeah, 5 tenths a lap faster for Kamishov again as they come into La Sauce, exit La Sauce. Wow. Big wobble for Shikloven, yeah. 3 tenths separating these two. I think this might be Shikloven's time in the lead over. Kamishov lifting through Rouge Radion just to stay behind, get in the slipstream. DRS open now. Shikloven on the inside, Kamishov to the outside. Shkloven's car bouncing all over the place, side by side, into Lacombe, and whoa, Shkloven maintains the lead exactly the same as it was lap 1. He brakes just that bit later into Lacombe and manages to keep that lead. So Kamishov got alongside finally on lap 21 out of 29, but he didn't do enough, wasn't able to make that overtake. I'm quite surprised to see that actually. I thought Kamishov would be straight through there, and yeah, Shkloven's done a great job to stay in front. I wonder if he was saving that battery. Kamishov's been dumping the battery to try and get that gap down, and now Shkloven's just unleashing all that energy he's had charged up, and is yeah, just manages to keep that gap around the same, because Kamishov pulled out with the DRS and just stalled almost, wasn't able to keep accelerating. Shkloven stayed alongside, hopping down the straight as he did, but look at this. Kamishov so close behind him here. No DRS this time. Ooh, Kamishov has to back out. Coming into Blanchemont, would be brave to make a move through there. Shkloven runs wide again. So they're going to be side by side into the bus stop. Kamishov brakes a bit later on the outside. Kamishov through into the bus stop with a great move, but yes,
DRS?
Kamishov has the DRS here. But importantly, Shkloven stays behind, but Shkloven's going for the inside at La Source as well. Kamishov with the switchback. Ooh, big oversteer moment for Kamishov there. Shkloven has slotted in right behind Kamishov, and if I wonder if he just backed off a little bit to get the DRS down this straight. We saw Shkloven had seemed to have the speed advantage without the DRS. He closes, Kamishov moves to the inside, Shkloven on the outside.
This time Dimitri on the inside as they go side by side through Licon. Can Kamishov hold on? No, he slots him behind.
Great move for Shkloven. Shkloven seems to be the master of that corner. He was behind, he was on the inside, he was on the outside, and he's managed to keep or gain the position through there every time. Kamishov thought he had the move done, but Shkloven is back in the lead. Lap 22 out of 29 here at Spa. Ooh, wobble for Shkloven through Puhon there.
Stoyan and Woodward are fighting for P4 as well, so this is not the only battle going on, but it's the battle for P1, and it's really, really close. That could come out ahead.
There's Knowles is in the pits there. We'll keep following these two. The timing screen is a bit all over the place right now, as Stoyan seems to make the move on Woodward into Lacombe there, but we'll switch back to Kamishov for the time being through Blanchemont. Shkloven doesn't run wide this time. Kamishov nowhere near alongside this time, but again, just 5 tenths behind. He's going to have the DRS down the start-finish straight. Kamishov wasn't able to make the move down this start-finish straight. Down the Kemmel straight when he had the DRS. Meanwhile, Shkloven was, so it's... Kamishov looks to the inside. Ooh. Heart in the mouth stuff there. Kamishov with both his wheels locked up. Seemed to make a bit of it. Ooh, my dog is barking. I apologise.
Bark, motherfucker. As Kamishov is just 0.3 behind this time, DRS has opened, is in the slipstream. He doesn't gain. It just looks like his engine's weak, but he goes to the inside last second. They both break. Shkloven on the outside again holds on that place. Wow. Kamishov, I don't know what to do. The car just can't give you so much. If car's not fast, you can't get past. As they go through no name.
Wow, that rhymed. Yeah, sorry about that. My dog barked at an inopportune time then. Yeah, so Shkloven holds on again. Kamishov not able to make the move into Lacombe, where he's tried to make the move 3 times now, or keep the position 3 times, and yeah, he's not able to do so. This is completely not what I expected, but Shkloven with the confidence on the brake, confident just to shut the door as Kamishov loses the rear. Clearly his tyres may be struggling now. So once again, as they come through Blanchemont, easy flat in these cars. Shkloven running a little bit wide though. Maybe the bouncing traffic up ahead might come into play in a lap or so. Oh, Shkloven runs wide. Almost has to cut the track, but that puts Kamishov right behind him. Shikloven will defend the inside. I'm sure he does. Moves back to the outside to try cover Kamishov off. No way he's holding that round the outside unless Shikloven backs off again to get the DRS, and I think he did. Shikloven tucks in behind Kamishov before Rouge Radion. I'm sure he'll have the DRS, surely, because I think he backed off to do that. Yeah, so Shikloven with DRS.
Yeah, I think Dimitri knows. I think he knows.
Shikloven's
It's just not fighting.
Oh, but
what?
Kamishov, I thought was going to tag Shikloven's rear wheel then. Managed to just carry so much more speed than I expected around the outside. Thankfully, nothing happened. But yeah, Kamishov actually broke quite a bit later into that corner. As Stoyan sets fastest lap. So what I was saying before, Stoyan with those Thresh C3 tyres, these two up in front are running their own race, and Stoyan setting fastest lap. Five laps remaining here at Spa. Go on, Christoph. Sorry.
So if you're Kamishov, you have two options. Either you wait for the last lap and lunge into the chicane and go over the line first, or you somehow gotta overtake into Lecum and be in front of Shikloven where he gains that 2 or 3 tenths. So that you can use your. I mean, he's not even fast on the straights. What am I talking? As Knowles locks up ahead or spins, I don't know. I think he just locked up. Yes. That was a big smoke screen as Dimitri nearly loses it, falls back a bit. How much back is he now? This looks more than 1 second.
And he's deep into La Source as well, so that 0.8 second, yeah, doubles to 1.6, so he's out of that DRS now. Just lit the rear tyres about the bus stop and has lost that split, lost the 0.8 seconds he had to Shikloven, although I feel like he might close that gap back down again. The traffic in front, which I think is Knowles, moves out the way. Thank you, Knowles, for maintaining this good race that we are currently seeing, allowing this to continue without impeding our two leading drivers. But yeah, Kamishov looked like he was like all over the place, wasn't he? Just lost the rear one way, went the other way. You do it once, the tyres are going to get hot, so he might start just losing the rear yet again, and that's going to be disastrous for his pursuit of Shikloven here. Lift into Puhan, 1.4 seconds between these two drivers, 4 laps remaining. But obviously Shikloven hasn't been perfect either. So, what's happening further back? Woodward and Moreno side by side. Sorry, I was not watching the split here. Side by side into Rouge, into Radion. Woodward backs out and gives Moreno the position, but who will have the DRS? Looks like, oh no, Moreno has the DRS, so Woodward backed out to give him the position, and he also has the DRS, so good move from Moreno there. I'm not sure if one of them was exiting the pits or not, but...
Andy Moreno pitted for C4 tyres 1 lap ago, whereas Woodward is on old-ish C3s, so Moreno just caught up to Woodward, I guess. As the gap between Shikloven and Kamishov is down to 1 second once again. This is so odd. Or maybe Dimitri is just saving battery, because I can't imagine him being that much slower when he was gaining on the straights all the time. Maybe he's just leaving it over to the last attack. Yeah, he does have DRS. He did have DRS, and the gap is down to half a second, or 0.6 seconds. Entering the middle sector. As we go through Brazil, into No Name, down to Puan. I really want to have a driver interview today, because what is going on with why is fast, why is slow? I'm wondering.
Yeah, this is not the usual dynamic of back and forth, back and forth. Well, you know, what you would see usually is one car pulling away. This seems to be Kamishov catches up, and then Shikloven's just faster. It's almost like Shikloven's playing with Kamishov, but I'm sure that's not the case. So into the bus stop yet again. Oh, as Kamishov loses the rear, but Shikloven locked up a bit as well. I'm sure it's 6 and 2 3s with both of them through there. Kamishov was 4/10 faster, but he closes right up into the sauce. Through Radion. Is Kamishov able to make the move this time around? Has the DRS. Look at the overspeed on the inside this time, which he didn't have the laps before. Brakes as late as he can. Shikloven brakes as late as he can as well, and he hangs on. He keeps the position. Shikloven maintains the lead. Kamishov still in P2, not able to make the overtake.
I get the feeling that the 3/10 Shikloven, or the 2/10 Shikloven is faster than Kamishov in the middle sector, might just be the entry. He just looks so much more confident on that right-left chicane. He just carries so much more speed with stability, with being stable on the same time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you would expect the inside car just to be able to take their line, almost ignore the car on the outside. If they take their line as they normally would, the car on the outside is just going to have to back off. But Kamishov just hesitating a little bit, and Shikloven that much more confident to just keep it alongside, and is able to keep the position, but just 4/10 yet again. Kamishov's keeping up through that middle sector, where Shikloven did look strong, but as you say, it just seems to be that entry, the entry to Lacombe, one of the main overtaking points on the track. Into the bus stop, very, very close again. Kamishov with the DRS. If he's smart, he's not going to be making the overtake here, because he's just going to get passed again by Shikloven. As Shikloven seems to back off super early.
I think he backs off on purpose, as we have a back marker.
Oh, does that back marker give Kamishov the DRS though? There's a possibility.
Not. I think the detection is here at the bottom somewhere.
We'll keep following this pair, see if Kamishov gets the DRS. No, he doesn't. So Shikloven with the DRS seems to back off to let Kamishov through, but look how far ahead Kamishov is now. Kamishov runs wide through Lacombe. Shikloven shows how strong he is through there, but wasn't able to get alongside Kamishov. And Kamishov finally, as Shikloven runs wide on the penultimate lap of the race, 28 of 29, Kamishov takes the lead. Try again, and eventually he managed it.
What was going on? Did he finally find the overtake button for the extra power down the straight? What is going on? But now Shikloven is closing again.
Yeah, I thought Kamishov would just pull it. Oh, Shikloven runs wide, running in the dirty air. Not something he's going to be used to after running back into the lead for the whole race. But yeah, Shikloven almost managing to keep up. It's 5/10 on this back straight. We'll have to see how these two compare down this straight. This is the penultimate lap of the race. This is the second to last time they're going to be down into Blanchemont down this straight.
Look at the slipstream he gets. 1.5 tenths already, maybe 2
As he
tenths.
closes to the inside. Oh, they think they touched there, but Kamishov keeps it in a straight line. I think he just caught his rear wing. Very desperate stuff there, I'm going to say, from Shikloven. Quite a dangerous move, but they both got away with it. Darian on the outside, Kamishov on the inside. Switch back for Shikloven. He's going to have the DRS again, but last time round it wasn't enough to make the overtake. Will it be enough this time round? The final lap of the race, the final opportunity down this straight. I think he's going to do it. Pulls to the... Oh, they touch on the straight as he pulls to the outside, and they actually came together there. Shikloven has the DRS, already is in front of Kamishov, and Shikloven back into the lead. With contact, I thought there was going to be a huge crash there, but Shikloven on the final lap of the race takes the lead yet again after leading almost, if not every lap, apart from the penultimate lap. Kamishov gets repassed by Shikloven, and back into the lead goes Shkloven. But I am sure Kamishov will not let that one go easily. He's going to be pushing as hard as he can, using as much as the tyres will allow, as much as the battery allows, to try get close, try get that slingshot down that final straight, try and make a move into the bus stop so he can get that position back on the finish line. They round the final double corners in this middle sector. Kamishov with a good exit. Shkloven ran a little bit wide, missed the apex, just 4/10 between the two.
We've seen Kamishov catch up to the chicane. I wonder if he can do it now.
Shkloven runs wide.
Close.
Both cars run wide. Kamishov looks to the inside. Shkloven defends the inside. As he loses the rear, both cars wanting the same piece of tarmac. But Shkloven holds out at the end of the race and will take the win here at Spa. Kamishov in P2 as Shkloven spins off the track in celebration, I suppose. Further back down the field, Stoyan 1 minute behind. Knowles has already finished in P6. But a fantastic win for Shkloven. Kamishov so close after bringing that gap down after that earlier mistake. Not able to make the... not able to keep that position. He managed to make the overtake on the penultimate lap, but was not able to keep in P1. And Shkloven takes the win, extends his championship lead there. Fantastic job for Shkloven, honestly. There at the back, Stoyan in P3. He's not actually safe for Marino. Marino's only 8/10 behind him. I don't think he's going to be able to make an overtake into the final corner. Too far behind. Tries as he might, not able to do it. Stoyan crosses the line in P3. Moreno in a good P4. And Woodward, just slightly further down the field, will finish in P5. Juuso Salonen seemed to join at the end of the session. I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah.
We'll just ignore that. But yeah, so fantastic job for Shkloven. P2 for Kamishov. Fantastic job from him, but not able to take that win. And Stoyan back in P3 after a bit of an up and down race for him. I'm sure he'll be happy with that podium. Now, Christoph, I'm not 100% on the schedule, but I believe it has changed slightly. Are we able to have interviews this time around?
I'm pretty sure you can have interviews because we are ahead of the schedule, as Spa is a fast track and they gave it everything to finish first. So I think you can have your interviews and I will go and organize the master race.
Great stuff. Yeah, stick around for the master split race after this. We'll see if we can get some interviews, because I'd love to hear from Darian Shkloven after his excellent win, see what was up with that pace. We'll stick around a little bit, see if we can get him in. Just waiting to see if we can get Darian in for an interview. Would love to hear from him. If any other drivers are just tuning into the stream after it's finished and would like to have an interview, I'd love to hear from you. I'll just run down the final finishing order. Darian Shkloven in P1, Kamishov just 7/10 behind in P2, Stoyan in P3, Moreno P4, Woodward P5, Knowles P6, Imran Sheikh P7, but did not complete 80% distance, so will not be classified. That is unfortunately the top 7 for this race, with 13 drivers registered. Not all of them attended, which is not what we want to see. That was the Spa, the Griffin Gaming Spa Belgian Grand Prix, I should say, not the Spa Grand Prix. But yeah, the Griffin Gaming Belgian Grand Prix. Stick around for the master split, which will be coming shortly. Does not look like we will have Darian, unfortunately. Maybe he'll stick around after the master split. We've hosted some Challenger Split interviews after the master split before, So stick around for the Master Split, stick around for the interviews, and hopefully you'll hear from him then. And I'm sure it'll be a very interesting conversation on the crazy race we had between those top 2 drivers here at Spa today. I was Alex Cochran. I was joined by Christoph Berzer, who has gone to conduct the Master Split driver briefing, and the stream will resume shortly for the Master Split race. Goodbye.